Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anyone that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Leo Lustig, my man, as always, appreciate you. Mr. Martin, good morning. He says, happy Thirsty Thursday. I wish you all an amazing day. Have a good day, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Dom G, we have Mr. Backwards Miner, Crypto KJ. What's up, man? Crypto Addict. Addict, rather. Sorry, Addict. Alex, what's up, man? Good to see you. I need money. I love that name. Luke, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. We have Chris here, Duke Nukem, not James, Lawnmower Man. All of you guys, I love you all. Let's get into this. Sorry if I missed anybody. All right, Bitcoin, 62,735 bucks. Looks like the Bitcoin halving is going to be tomorrow. I don't know. We have CoinGecko saying a day and 20 hours, and right here, Watcher Guru is saying a day and 14 hours. So we're gonna have to see where this lands. I wonder if it's gonna be a Friday evening. We'll all have a drink and I guess let the ship sail on the Bitcoin halving. Pellish Miner, what's up, dude? Anybody else that needs to ask questions, please feel free just to ask in the chat. We have Ethereum at 3,052 bucks. Solana is looking like $135. I think that's a good buy right now, to be honest. We have Caspa at under 12 cents, 11.8. It was just 11.9. We have ETC at $25. I think that's a great buy too, as well as LTC. Everything's still on a fire sale, to be honest. Literally everything. We have Dogecoin, 15 cents, just about. I think Doge is a stupid, easy way to make some money at some point. Dumb money will be coming in. 30% correction coming. You think so, Yusuf? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. All right, crypto bubbles. Let's see. We got the biggest loser of the day, down 9.5%, is Core at $2.05. We have OKB down 6.7%, $55.09. Injective is up on the day, 7.5%, $26.57. We have CKB, which is down 8.8%. That's the Nervos network, to almost 2 pennies. It's 194. We have Celestia is down 7.7 to $9.68. Let's see. Near is 6.2% up on the day, $5.69. That's really it. Nothing else really jumping out. Rune Thorchain is down 6.1 at $4.60. Crazy. XMR, actually. XMR has been how do you guys feel about XMR, actually? Anybody getting that? Let me know. Yesterday I was screaming in channel mega. Cat went up 450% in an hour. Really interesting. Charles Harris, I didn't see that. We have XMR up to 116 bucks. Actually, sorry, down to 116 bucks. It's down 4.5% today. That's yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, flashbang, fear and greed index looking like a 57. This is good. This is very good, actually. Before the halving, to have the greed down this low, I think this is very good. We needed this kind of pullback on the overall market, consensus, right? So yeah, 57. I'm happy with this. We have room to grow, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at. So I don't know. I really don't know if we're gonna have a giant pullback, to be honest. Things aren't the same as they used to be. All right, Mr. Luke, my man, thanks for being a member for 4 months. Says Caspa network upgrade is going flawless, FYI. Crash for having, sell the news. Oh, gotcha. And then he said, then it's our turn, and pocket change. Appreciate you, Mr. Luke. All right, let's see over here. Trending coins. We have Gala up 4.5%. Hash AI is down 10.8%, and Niza Global is down 1.7%. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked, Ether, XRP, Dogecoin, and Toncoin. I like that Doge is still holding in 9th or kicks Ton out. Was Ton in 9th? Did it flip Dogecoin at one point? I feel like it did. Am I wrong? I could be wrong. I forget. Wow, I really forget. Anyways, Toncoin is in 10th place at a $21.2 billion market cap. I still don't understand why, but if anybody knows, please let me know in the chat. Let's see. I'm trying to read what you guys are saying in the chat. All right, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. ADA looks like it's at 45 cents, down in 11th place. We're still at a $15.9 billion market cap. To be honest, this is still a fantastic buy. I'm going to keep saying it just because I truly think it is, and I'm not trying to pump my bags. I don't have a lot of it, but I think it's an easy like 6x, hopefully. 44 cents, right? 44.8 it says. 2017, 2021, we had a run up as well. Those are the bull runs. 2024 is coming for this bull run, and all-time high was $3. So I mean, we're down 85%. If you guys didn't see my last video, go check it out. But I don't know, I pointed out a lot of 80% down coins that I think have pretty decent potential, and I kind of want to add a few more to it, but I don't know, I might make another video at some point. We'll see. All right, let's scroll down a little bit. Where's ETC? ETC's in 27th place at a $3.7 billion market cap. I think ETC is going to do very well, to be honest. That's another one of them coins. Let's see, Render I think is going to do well as well, because it actually does have like a fantastic utility behind it. 38th over here on the top 100 coins, $7.78, a $2.9 billion market cap. Caspa dropped quite a bit. 43rd, we have a $2.7 billion market cap for Caspa, under 12 cents. It's actually a fantastic buy. I'm gonna get some more today, I think. Dog with hat, thankfully. Oh man, I still don't understand how this is a $2.4 billion market cap. It's freaking, that's unreal. That is literally just insane. I really like this pullback. Yeah, me too. But it's funny because like back when I first got into this, right, this pullback would have freaked me the hell out, but now it's just like I don't know, I'm just used to it at this point. Like, I don't even care. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. If you guys want to look at anything specific, please just let me know in the chat. All right, you guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. Over at Mine the ASIC, we have Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making $106 a day. We have the KS5 20 terahash unit making $101 a day. The AL box 360 gigahashes at 180 watts making $98 a day. That's crazy, but I don't think it's gonna last. I truly don't think it's gonna last. There is a, what was it, the 8 gigahash unit, the AL something that we looked at yesterday. If you guys didn't see the stream, go check it out. But yeah, we ended up finding an AL box from Bitmain that's coming out. It's 8 terahashes. It's gonna make $2,200 a day. $2,200 a day. Oh wait, hold on, I think Crypto KJ sent it to us. Let's see. Oh, it is this. Yes, you did. Thank you. The AL3 8 terahash unit. Look at this. Shit. $2,200 a day, just about. It says 2182. That's insane. That is insane. No way. That thing's gonna be like a freaking, I don't even know how much that machine's gonna go for. That's gonna go for like 70k. All right, the KS5L. Let's see, we have, this is the 12 terahash unit making 5714 a day. It's unfortunate that these Caspa miners are dropping in price, but obviously it all relates to the price of Caspa, right? Price of Caspa is way down, so I mean, I get it. It's still impressive though that these are holding the top of the charts, and they have been for quite some time. Ooh, look at it. That's a fucking good. Thanks for being here, Mr. Geek of all trades. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, we have the BMKS Max over here, 11 terahash unit, 4898. We have the Windminer K9 at 4813. That's the 10.3 terahash unit. Let's see, we have the Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making 3585, and the KS3M 6 terahash making under $25 a day. That sucks. That sucks. We have the AlphaPax DG1 11 gigahash unit. This is the merge mining Litecoin and Doge, making $15 a day. Interesting. 34. That thing takes that much wattage. 3420. I don't think I've ever noticed that. Weird. All right, let's see. The Antminer L790 50 is what I got down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. Paying 10 cents kilowatt hour. If you guys are interested, links in the description. 1194 is what I'm making a day. That's a little bit less than it was, but obviously Litecoin and Dogecoin are both down. This thing is still a, what is it, a 3-year-old machine, and the L9 is now confirmed. They're coming out with it. So I'm excited to see the information on the L9. I can't wait to see what happens with it, what the gigahashes are, what's the wattage, and how much a day, obviously. All right, scrolling down a little bit. Let's see, where's my S19K? I got one of these running as well. Looks like it's most profitable on Bitcoin still, or again, it keeps flipping between this and Digibyte. If you guys didn't know, I'm making $5.93 a day. I got this one hosted at Terra Hosting as well. Yeah, man, you guys need to start taking jazz miners, Terra. All right, I need to give you my jazz miners because I'm pissed off they're off. It's annoying that they're off. But anyways, all right, where's the KS2? KS2 2 terahash unit is making $7.93 a day.
Bruh.
That's awful. That's really bad. That's really bad. The KS1 1 terahash unit is making $3.96 a day.
Bruh.
Oh god, it's getting worse. Hold on, let's see how much worse it gets. KS0 Pro is making 84 cents a day. Terrible. I actually have all of mine off, and it's not really because I want to keep them off. It's because I actually need to do maintenance on them, and it was hot as shit down here yesterday, so that's why they're off. But I'm only making like 30 cents per unit a day, so I would rather just buy the Casper right now. It's low enough. I want to take a break on my electric bill being sky high. The Ice River KS0 100 gigahash unit making 38 cents a day, and this is all at 10 cents kilowatt hour, obviously. All right, let's move on to GPUs, see what the most profitable coin is over here quick, and then we're going to get into things. We have 4090, the RTX 4090, Ironfish and Pyron. Nexa is also top of the charts. We have the 4080 Super, Ironfish and Graham, and then Pyron and Ironfish and Pyron. Nice. All right, so that means pretty much still the same shit. All dual mining. Ironfish and a mix of something. Nexa is actually there. I don't know why. Let's see what Nexa's at, just for shits. And then I want to check out the price of lithium before we get out of here. Nexa's up 1.97% on the day. How's it been doing? Dude, it's like, how do you guys feel about Nexa? I don't know. No breaking shit today. Well, actually, you know what? Conveniently enough, my ring light's broken, so I have another light like sitting on my camera at a weird angle. That's why I was late. I had to get another another light. Anyways, this is I don't know about Nexa. I don't know, I got a little of it, not really too excited about it. 3090 Ti Nexa Ner. Interesting. Okay, that's pretty much it. Conflux Radiant and the A5000, if anybody's got that. Let's jump over to mining pool stats.stream. Check out the events calendar. All right, AVS 19 hours away, going through a block reduction. We have 2.85 to 1.42. This is halving, obviously. Radiant's going through a halving as well in 25 hours. This is a little over a day away. If anybody's mining Radiant, 50,000 block reward to 25,000. Hopefully we see some price appreciation here. And then Bitcoin, less than 2 days away. It should happen tomorrow at some point. It says 6.25 to 3.125. We have 6 days from now. Octaspace going through a fifth inning, 2.3 to 1.85. Kevacoin's 23 days from now. Pyron is 33 days from now, and ETC is 42 days from now. Everything else I don't care about. It is too far away. New coins, let's see what we got. It's a meme, still top of the charts. The meme coin on SHA-256, which is interesting to me. I don't know if there's many other meme coins on SHA-256 algo, but let's move on. We have the Bitcoin. Bitcoin can cross $100,000 in the next 12 to 18 months, says Anthony Pompliano on CNBC television. Let's get into it, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
We're just fewer days away now until the Bitcoin halving, which reduces the supply of new Bitcoins. Currently, Bitcoin price is sitting at $62,710. Joining us now, Anthony Pompliano, Pomp Investments founder and partner. I want to talk about the halving. I want to talk about the run-up in the price, and also the flip of that, which we saw last weekend. You were kind enough to tweet back at me over the weekend. We were trying to understand some of the movements. Explain to the audience what you think has happened even in the past week, both in terms of the run-up and maybe this move lower.
Yeah. Well, let's put everything in context, right? Talking about Bitcoin is crashing to $64,000 was a dream just a few years ago. So we're up significantly. Since the last halving to today, about 4 years, we're up 800%. So it's been incredible performance. This year to date, it's about 40%. Compare that to gold. Gold's up 7%, year to date. And in the last 5 years, it's only up about 11%. Now, the reason why I bring that up, what I think is really interesting, is you actually have lost purchasing power if you've held gold over the last 5 years.
And he brought that up because of Peter Schiff, the Schiff for Brains, that was on that news channel the other day, fighting about gold and Bitcoin and calling out Bitcoin's pullback from 70,000 to where we're at now. It's like, bro, like we're literally at all-time highs.
inflation has outpaced gold's performance. So the whole narrative of gold protects your purchasing power is now been debunked, right? For the last 5 years, that's not true. Bitcoin has. So when we start talking about this price run up, that 40% increase to start the year, all of a sudden, why is the price going up? ETFs are a huge piece of it. Also, I think people leading into the halving, that's a big piece of it. But the government has decided we are going to debase the currency, right? And I think that now the world has understood the United States has a debt problem and we're going to debase the currency. So there's some of that going on as well. Now, over the weekend, the price sells off. And I think there's really three things that drove that price sell off. The first is that whenever there's a moment of fear, right, everyone panics. And what do? They still buy dollars. And so some people are selling because of that. The second thing is on the weekend, even though the Bitcoin market is open, the bank system is not open. And so you can't get net new dollars into your crypto account to buy Bitcoin. So the only thing you really can do is if you're holding Bitcoin, you can sell it. But most of the people holding Bitcoin are fully allocated. So they don't have dollars to go buy more Bitcoin. There's a very interesting dynamic where even though you want to buy more Bitcoin, you're closed out of the system as well because the banking system won't let you wire in.
You're saying people would have bought Bitcoin on Middle East tensions if the banking system were open?
The joke is that the real Bitcoiners want the price to go down so they can buy more of it.
So what have we seen since, since then in terms of the price of, we didn't go up a lot.
We didn't go up a lot, but we're basically flat since
so no one is buying
since Monday.
On the heels of Middle East tensions.
Well, I think that the other thing that's happening is that now Bitcoin is being pulled into the legacy system. And so now it's very hard to kind of prove this, but high-frequency traders and kind of more algorithmic trading, when all of the news hit Twitter and kind of the social sentiment changed very quickly, you saw a massive amount of tweets about Iran and Israel and rockets and drones, et cetera. There's a very quick sell-off. I find it hard to believe that humans were able to read Twitter, immediately go to their computer and start hitting the sell button. And so there's got to be some algorithmic trading that's going on there as well, where people are trading headlines. But it's unclear how to measure that.
Let's just understand this, because part of it is, so the folks who are selling likely are selling actual Bitcoin, not the ETFs, because this was happening.
It's closed
over the weekend, right?
Correct.
And so, but
that's the big thing you guys got to understand. The ETFs, you're not going to be able to do anything over the weekends.
Question seems like the natural follow-up is, why were they not back in the market either via ETFs or something else? Put the algos aside since then, and on the back of what I imagine is, you think, a bullish sign on the halving piece of this, which is about to happen.
I think that markets are forward-looking, and part of my analysis is just that, we went up 40% because people are already pricing some of this stuff in. If we go and we look, we had Russia invading Ukraine, we have Hamas, Israel, now we have Iran, Israel. At some point, there's a less severe reaction to each one of these kind of geopolitical events, because I think people are starting to say, there are problems in the Middle East. Right. And so, again, that doesn't talk down the severity of what actually happened. But I think that the financial assets themselves are becoming less sensitive to those movements. And then in terms of buying more Bitcoin, I do think that there's this very interesting dynamic of everybody that I know in the hardcore Bitcoin community. They've bought as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. The net new dollars that are going to come into this industry are going to come from Wall Street. Right. And so what is Wall Street doing? Wall Street's not rushing to go buy Bitcoin today. And I think that there's a lot of folks on Wall Street who don't yet even understand the halving. And so what's going to really play out here is over the next 12 to 18 months, we'll see that impact.
And they're not buying because, the only reason you wouldn't buy today, besides that you may not have the opportunity, which is to say there's an argument that, advisors, a lot of firms don't have it on offer yet. But there's also the view, I think, by some, that the price is still going to come down. So how do you see,
that's probably what it is. They probably are anticipating a sell the news event, which... listen, we weren't expecting to break the all-time high before the halving either. And we did. Bitcoin is literally breaking trends as the days go on with we have seven green candles in a row. We've only had that happen one time. It was back in 2012. If we get another monthly close in the green, that would be the first time ever. So I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, if it waited an extra month to have a crazy pullback.
See as the window for where the price sits right now?
Yeah. So if we look at price movements themselves, Bitcoin's down about 8%, 9%. In 2017 bull market, there was 13 drawdowns of 12% or more. There was 13 drawdowns of 10% or more in the 2020 drawdown from Galaxy Research. And so when you see that big of drawdowns, 8% is actually a pretty small drawdown compared to most times in bull markets. And so my expectation here is that Wall Street is probably trying to time the market a little bit, understand, what's the price level, so looking at technicals, et cetera. But over time, what we have found is that in these drawdowns, they're getting less and less severe. So the asset itself is becoming less volatile, which means that the upside gets more limited, but also the downside is muted.
We'll take Kathy Wood's prediction out of it. But for the next 12 months, for you, Potential high, upside, potential downside.
I think downside is pretty muted at this point. Like, it's impossible to tell. There's always the external event that could occur. But I would say I don't see it going below like 50,000 at any point. I think we've kind of crossed over that Rubicon. In terms of upside, I think we get over 100,000 in the next 12, 18 months. Maybe we could get to 150 to 200, somewhere in that range. But like, we go up from here. I just don't think people should expect the explosive, 1,000% move from here through the rest of the bull market. That
was probably the best thing you could have said. Yeah, you guys, expect the unexpected, right? You can't just expect things to explode, right? It's probably not going to happen if everyone's expecting it, right? So I don't know. Anyways, move on. Crypto world, CNBC television. Bitcoin briefly drops below 60,000 for the first time since March 5th. Let's do it.
Today, Ether tumbles below $3,000 for the first time since February. A new stablecoin bill just dropped this morning. And Tiago Sada from WorldCoin's parent company, Tools for Humanity, explains the identity platform's new L2 blockchain.
That guy looks fake. That guy's eyes. He looks fake as hell, doesn't he?
Blockchain.
That's weird.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Major cryptocurrencies are back in the red this morning. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell 2.5% to just above $60,000, while Ether fell 2.1% and dropped below that $3,000 price threshold for the first time since February.
Did anybody get any Bitcoin at 60K?
Solana, on the other hand, in the green, rising about 0.75%. The economy still remains a focus for crypto investors, especially after Fed Chair Jay Powell said yesterday that inflation is persisting and signaled that the central bank is not ready to cut interest rates. There's also, of course, the tensions in the Middle East as Israel weighs a response to Iran's attack from over the weekend.
Can we just all get along? Can we just cut this shit out and just get along, please? It's crazy. I don't understand it.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Pomp Investments founder Anthony Pompliano joined CNBC's Squawk Box this morning, where he discussed markets and the halving, which is just days away.
Talking about Bitcoin is crashing to $64,000 was a dream just a few years ago. So we're up significantly. Since the last halving to today, about 4 years, we're up 800%. So it's been incredible performance. This year to date, it's about 40%. Compare that to gold. Gold's up 7%, year to date. And in the last 5 years, it's only up about 11%. Now, the reason why I bring that up, what I think is really interesting, is you actually have lost purchasing power if you've held gold over the last 5 years. Inflation has outpaced gold's performance. So the whole narrative of gold protects your purchasing power is now been debunked, right? For the last 5 years, that's not true. Bitcoin has. So when we start talking about this price run up, that 40% increase to start the year, all of a sudden, why is the price going up? ETFs are a huge piece of it. Also, I think people leading into the halving, that's a big piece of it. But the government has decided we are going to debase the currency, right? And I think that now the world has understood the United States has a debt problem and we're going to debase the currency. So there's some of that going on as well.
Pompliano also addressed what he thinks was behind last weekend's crypto sell-off.
Whenever there's a moment of fear, right, everyone panics, and what do? They still buy dollars. And so some people are selling because of that. The second thing is, on the weekend, even though the Bitcoin market is open, the bank system is not open. And so you can't get net new dollars into your crypto account to buy Bitcoin. So the only thing you really can do is if you're holding Bitcoin, you can sell it. But most of the people holding Bitcoin are fully allocated. So they don't have dollars to go buy more Bitcoin. There's a very interesting dynamic where even though you want to buy more Bitcoin, you're closed out of the system as well because the banking system won't let you wire in.
Pompliano forecasts that Bitcoin could cross $100,000 within the next 12 to 18 months. And he said that it could potentially hit $150,000 like others had predicted, but said that people shouldn't expect the explosive 1,000% move from here for the rest of the bull market.
Facts, real quick. DJ in the chat said, it's okay. 2025 is all that matters. The rest between is just noise. And yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think 2025 is where, or the end of 2024 into 2025 is where it's really going to matter.
As for the downside, he doesn't think the cryptocurrency will drop below $50,000. Last up,
I mean, real quick, the reason behind that, right? If you guys look again, we just go to Bitcoin max chart. You can see, right? It's always at the end of the year. 2017 bull run starts, right? And then it goes into 18. Same thing here. 2021 goes into 2022. It's always like end of the year into the next year type deal. So makes sense.
Senators just dropped a new stablecoin bill this morning. Senators Kristen Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York, and Cynthia Lummis, a Republican from Wyoming, said that the bill aims to create a regulatory framework for stablecoins, including mandating a one-to-one reserve, banning algorithmic stablecoins, and complying with U.S. anti-money laundering and sanctions rules. Senator Gillibrand said in the announcement that the bill would protect customers while promoting U.S. dollar dominance while preserving the dual banking system. Both senators joined CNBC this morning and expressed their optimism in progressing the bill and how the bill would tackle the use of stablecoins in illicit transactions.
Addressing illicit finance, this stablecoin legislation creates a framework where it rests on top of the dual banking system. It uses the protections of Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering protections in the banking system.
Yeah, the worst thing we could do if stablecoins are being misused around the world is to step away and not regulate them. The whole...
Real quick, Mr. Blaine Anderson, thank you so much for the 999 super chat. Keeping the stream alive. He said, curious of your opinion on this. Been debating with myself on if I should shift my entire portfolio less than $1,000 to Neoxa being down and has higher upside than BTC and others in my portfolio. Blaine, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put your whole portfolio into Neoxa. I mean, I like Neoxa as a whole, but that's a risky play, my opinion. I would, if I was going to do that, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. If I was going to do that and I wanted to throw, less than $1,000 somewhere, Caspa, 1,000%.
The purpose of this bill is to protect consumers
just
while we acknowledge the existence and use of stablecoins.
Now, this isn't the first crypto bill that the senators have drafted together. Back in 2022, they introduced the Responsible Financial Innovation Act to bring comprehensive crypto regulation. That bill was reintroduced in 2023.
The reason I'm saying Caspa, I'm sorry for cutting off this news thing, but yeah, the reason I picked Caspa is, for one, it's really low right now in the multiple of coins you would get versus like a lithium, right? Like DJ Mine says, get a lithium. It's $2, $2+ now. The amount of coins you're going to get is going to be way more if you go to Caspa, right? Once Caspa gets the Rust protocol implemented, once it's like out of testnet, and once they get their smart contracts going, it's never seen a bull run, man. This shit's going to explode. That's just my opinion. Not financial advice. You guys do what you want.
All right, for our main story. Today, WorldCoin, that project that was co-created by OpenAI's Sam Altman, revealed its new Layer 2 blockchain. Ahead of today's announcement, Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Thiago Sada. He's the head of product, engineering, and design at Tools for Humanity, which is the main developer of WorldCoin, about the new L2. He also addressed recent privacy concerns tied to WorldCoin's key feature, its iris scanning technology. Maybe that's why his eyes are so fucking open. It's fucking bug-eyed. But yeah, no, I don't know. It makes sense, to be honest, to do that, right? Like, get into something that has never seen a bull run before, that's actually doing a bunch of innovation in the background. And then on top of it, you guys gotta understand that, like, as miners, Caspa, like, what happened with Ethereum when Ethereum was mineable? There was a gajillion forks of Ethereum, and that's what held miners up the entire bull run and, bear cycles and whatever, until they went proof of stake, right? Now, what do we see with Caspa? A shit ton of forks, GPU mining forks, like just regular meme coins. There's so much shit coming out with that same algo or some sort of fork of that algo. It just makes sense that something with Caspa, or along the lines of Caspa, with Caspa being the OG, is gonna just kind of carry us through this market. That's just my opinion. You guys do what you want. Again, it's what I'm doing with my money, so here's what it is.
Tools for Humanity, which is WorldCoin's parent company, is announcing a new L2 blockchain called WorldChain. And while the announcement is happening now, the blockchain is expected to launch this summer. It's permissionless, open source, and intended to be ultimately owned and governed by the community. Now, I understand that this is part of WorldCoin's effort to address issues related to bots, which can cause congestion on chain. Can you elaborate on the goal of this new blockchain and take us through what prompted this all to come about?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, we're very excited. We've been working the entire community for a long
Now I understand why he's not blinking.
time on this, so happy to finally share it. Generally, in the first place, the reason we started thinking about WorldCoin having its own blockchain was because we just don't fit in the existing network where we're in. We are currently more than 40% of all of the capacity in the network, and it just became clear that WorldCoin needed to have its own home. Now, like you said, something really interesting about WorldChain is that it's designed for humans. What that means is that transactions that are submitted by humans get prioritized block space, and also verified humans get a free gas allowance. And so that's important, not just because it has a better user experience, but it just makes it a lot easier for people to get started using all of these types of applications and protocols in a way that just hopefully leads them to higher adoption.
Dude, he does look like he's freaking made out of AI, though. Like, look at his mouth movements and stuff when he's big screened. That's weird.
So how will you be able to prioritize humans over bots? How will this new blockchain work exactly?
Exactly. So first, it's important to say that on a foundation level, this is just like a normal EVM compatible chain. The base token is Ether. It's permissionless. Anyone, regardless of whether it's a bot, a verified human, an unverified human, can submit transactions. Now, on top of that, there will be an additional layer that if you're a verified human with a verified world ID, that is, you verified it on your phone or you verified it by visiting an orb, then you get access to like an express lane where your transactions are prioritized so that we make sure that, hey, all the transactions for real humans can make it. And then all of the additional block space, then that can be for bots and for whatever else people want. But we want to make sure that humans can get their transactions in.
Now,
Crazy. Real quick, Mr. Ted in the chat said, no, he's using that fake eye so you can look away, but you stare into the screen. Really? That's a thing? That was like a filter? That's so weird.
To privacy, there have been concerns tied to WorldCoin's orbs, which collect data by scanning eyeballs. In fact, last month, Spain's privacy watchdog ordered WorldCoin to temporarily stop operating in the country amid concerns about what it was doing with the personal information of users. A few weeks later, WorldCoin was hit with another ban in Europe when Portugal's data regulator ordered it to stop collecting biometric data for 90 days. Since WorldCoin launched last year, criticism related to privacy surrounding its key feature led to regulators, including those in the UK, to look into the project. What's your reaction to all these privacy concerns, especially the recent bans from Spain and Portugal?
Ryan Lewis says fake eye to watch her chest and not get caught.
So generally, it's
probably not wrong.
One of the most counterintuitive things about the project is not just that the orb is private and the world ID is private, but it is perhaps one of the most private systems we've ever used online, period. There's a lot of resources online for that. And the orb firmware itself has actually even been recently open sourced. And so people can go and take a look at that directly. Specifically when it comes to governments, look, I think it's very natural that when projects of any type start getting to the scale that WorldCoin is reaching, governments should look in to make sure that the statements that are being made are in fact accurate. And so generally speaking, any country where you see orbs, we're probably engaging with the governments in some capacity, whether it's to make sure that they understand what is happening. Most of the times they can do those checks while operations are still going. Every once in a while, they'll ask us like, hey, can you please pause for a couple of weeks or a couple of months while we can review that? And of course, while we would prefer for that to not be the case, it's completely normal. This is a long-term project. They will take years and decades to build it. And so if someone needs a couple of weeks to fully understand it, we think that's totally fine.
So you're confident that Spain and Portugal will allow WorldCoin to start operating in their regions once again?
I'm confident that WorldCoin is not only compliant with all of the regulations, but that it is one of the most private systems that have ever existed, much more than something as basic as social media that we use day to day.
Have any of you guys invested into WorldCoin? Let me know in the chat. I'm interested to know.
Now, I want to focus on something you just mentioned. About 3 weeks ago, WorldCoin announced in a blog post that the core components of the Orb software are now open sourced and completed a privacy audit. What was revealed in that audit, and what other steps are being taken to protect personal information?
I don't mean like scan your eye. I just mean like purchase it. Everyone's saying hell no, no, never, nope. Why? Not a chance.
Yeah, so it's these were very important steps. For a couple of years now, we've been gradually open sourcing different parts of the stack. There is something called like the WorldCoin tech tree on the internet where people can see every single part, what is the status. And we took a really big step earlier this year by open sourcing the Orb firmware. That means that now the Orb hardware, the Orb firmware, the Orb AI models, and the identity protocol, all of those are completely open source. In addition to that, we migrated to a system that we announced in December. I think you actually talked with Alex about World ID 2.0, where now the data that the Orb verifies, users will now actually hold that self-custodially on their personal devices, just as the private keys for their wallets live on their devices. And so ultimately, this is all about giving people more control over how they want to use or delete their data so that they can do it directly.
So DJ said he didn't get it. He said he couldn't find an easy place to buy it. So does it have its own, does anybody know, does it have its own main chain, WorldCoin? So on the Ethereum network, you can actually swap inside of Tangem, if this would focus. There we go. That's the ERC20 version. And then they have another version. Let me see. Hold on real quick. Let's type it in. They have an OP, which is optimistic Ethereum. You can see that. That's inside Tangem. You guys can swap directly in there.
Now,
Weird.
were these steps taken in direct response to all the privacy concerns and temporary bans in regions around the world? Are you noticing a shift now that WorldCoin has taken steps to protect personal information? Are you noticing people are more comfortable with the iris scanning technology now?
So all of these changes have honestly been under the works for a long time. Many of them are even mentioned on the white paper. For example, this personal custody was announced in December. Now, we're obviously always in conversation, not just with regulators, but with experts and with the community. And there are many changes, things that the community has just come up with different ideas or regulators have suggested in going about things in different ways. This is a community project, and I expect that over the coming months and years, that will continue to be the case. To your question about how do people feel about this, definitely the response is people are excited, right? Before the systems were open source, you sort of had to trust either the teams building it or some of the auditors, even if they had really good reputation. Now you don't even have to trust those auditors, right? Now you can just go on GitHub and look at the code yourself and you know exactly what is happening.
Now, as you noted, we spoke with your CEO back in December when he introduced WorldCoin's World ID 2.0, a protocol update meant to help distinguish between bots and verified humans online while preserving privacy. At the time, he acknowledged that WorldCoin's backlash is not surprising. Do you agree? And is this something the product and engineering team took into consideration when building the orbs?
Yeah, so I mean, with any type of technology, like you have the early adopters, then the rest of the population, and then some late adopters. I remember when I first got my first phone, my dad was saying, I will never have one of those things, and now you cannot get him away from his phone. I think that's totally natural. To be honest, right now, in this phase of the project, we're just fully focused on serving all of those early adopters that are really excited to join all over the world. We can't make orbs fast enough. We can't put them out into the world fast enough. A really big reason for why WorldChain was built in the first place, as I was saying, is we're just running out of capacity, right? There's no more room to process all of the transactions and to welcome all of the users that want to join. So we're right now focused on that. And what we've seen is as people start signing up, people in their communities, their friends, their families start hearing about the project. They understand that it's actually incredibly private, and then they eventually go and verify.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World.
All right, shout out to CNBC Crypto World for that. And Yusuf, I strongly disagree. He said real miners don't hold POS coins. That's not true. Ethereum was proof, like it was proof of work, right? At one point, it went proof of stake. I still hold Ethereum. I think it's going to go very well. And this video actually is going to talk about it a little bit. So let's get into this. Lark Davis, 3 reasons Ethereum is going to 15,000. I thought between 5 and 10,000 for Ethereum. 15,000 be way nicer though. Let's see what he's got to say. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. We have 68 likes, 221 people here. Damn, you lazy. Unless you're driving. I understand.
Ethereum is going to $15,000 this cycle, and here are 3 simple reasons why Ethereum is still undervalued compared to its full potential for this cycle, and the factors, the catalysts that could drive it up to $15,000. Let me show you this chart here to get started off. This shows that Ethereum could go up to $15,000 a cycle. This is the Fibonacci retracement tool, and the 3.618 level is the target, which is currently right around $15,000, about $15,300 to be more precise. Oh, but Lark, that's just some hocus pocus on your charts that you drew there, buddy. Oh, really? Well, here is the chart for the Fib extensions from the last cycle. Ethereum got almost to the dollar almost to the dollar to the 3.618 line. The orange.
Yusuf, I love Rabid. I love Rabid. But he doesn't hold anything. He sells all his crypto. So take it with a grain of salt. It's my opinion.
Arrow here highlights the peak price in the 3.618 Fibonacci line. That's some crazy shit. You paying attention yet? Good. Because now I'm going to tell you how it's actually going to happen, what the catalysts are going to be. They're going to take it up to that $15,000 price point. First, we need to talk about Coinbase, and more specifically, Base Chain, the big thing in crypto right now. You've probably heard about it. This is quickly becoming one of the major meta stories, trends, narratives of this cycle, the place where the money is made. Okay? And the users are going, and the total value locked going, and the money is going. The real story about Coinbase's Base is that they're about to open the floodgates to the Base chain via their smart wallet. Coinbase has 120 million customers, and every single one of them will need to buy ETH in order to do anything on Base. And most people probably won't just buy $5 worth of Ethereum. And while things like meme coin Brett, for example, or Aerodrome Finance are probably still pretty gosh darn undervalued as direct Base plays, the big picture here is that Base is a huge value driving mechanism for Ethereum itself. If you don't want to get on Base, you probably should consider doing it if you haven't already. But if you don't want to, fine. Just holding Ethereum gives you exposure to everything that Base is doing. And it also gives you exposure to every other layer 2 and what they're doing. Arbitrum, Linea, ZK Sync, etc. Bullish and all that stuff, hold ETH. If you believe that layer 2s are going to be huge, more broadly beyond just the bullish hype of Base itself, then just buying and holding Ethereum gets your foot in the door for the entire layer 2 narrative that's taking off. But Base specifically is the biggest single onboarding event for Ethereum on-chain users that we will likely ever see. Certainly the biggest one that's happened ever so far. A once-in-a-chain liquidity event, one might say. This is the Bitcoin ETF, but for Ethereum users. Now, before I break down restaking and the ETF, which are two major catalysts, I want to let you know about the Wealth Mastery newsletter.
I'm going to skip over that. It's talking about his newsletter, but the ETF here is the catalyst that you guys need to understand is going to push Ethereum over the edge. Okay, it is going to make it explode, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. Point blank, end of story. 2 of the top crypto coins getting an ETF. You don't think Ethereum is going to explode? Stay broke.
Now let's talk about restaking. Long-term restaking Ethereum. Possible house of cards that could lead to a massive deleveraging event. But during the bull run, probably a massive driver of value for Ethereum. The Eigenlayer mainnet, which is the main restaking protocol, has just launched, which brings us one step closer to the Eigen mega drop. It's going to be so big, isn't it? A lot of people are going to make too much money off that. It's going to be wild. The wealth is generated by this thing. You can even add in the layer 2 airdrops coming in for Linea and ZK Sync in terms of wealth creation on chain for Ethereum. But the E3 staking world will create wild sums of money from these particular airdrops and from the big yields that are being created in the Ethereum ecosystem right now. A lot of that money flows back to Ethereum as long-term bags are added to. Some may even round trip from airdrops back into staking and then into the restaking protocols.
So I want you guys to understand too, right? Like I know Ethereum did wrong, right? Going to POS. But at the same time, they planned on doing that from the beginning. So it's kind of like how do you really get mad at them, right? They wanted to do this before it was proof of work. It was like the original map. They wanted to go proof of stake at some point, right? 2, everything in their mother run on Ethereum, or a lot of stuff runs on Ethereum. Solana is like the next best thing, right? But continuously has problems. So Solana, that's going to have a big gain, right? Ethereum is also going to have a big gain. They're both their own ecosystems. They have a bunch of shit on them. Also, Ethereum pumping is going to push up the price of ETC, in my opinion, with just the pure fact that it is easily purchasable and people don't understand the difference. Okay? It is gonna push that, and that's good for miners. So again, if you guys don't like it, that's totally fine. You don't have to like everything. Everybody's got their own opinion, but you need to do your own research and take what people say with a grain of salt, because listen, we're just people on YouTube. Like, we don't have a crystal ball. I got an 8 ball right here, not the kind of 8 ball you guys are thinking. Not like the last guy, but I got this. I could ask you questions. You want to see? We could ask if Ethereum's good. Let's see. Is Ethereum gonna go up in price? Let's see what it says real quick. Most likely. That's literally what it says. Most likely. I wish I could show that on camera. That's not gonna work. There's no way. No way you guys are gonna see that. I gotta cover my eyes. It says most likely in there somewhere. You're not gonna be able to read that. Anyways, that's literally as good as asking a YouTuber if something's gonna go up. Just saying.
Kelp, EtherFi, Puffer Finance,
being real.
Stack, stuff like that. This is the wealth effect for Ethereum in play, which creates more overall economic activity, which will bleed down to Ethereum blue chip DeFi, Ethereum blue chip NFTs, plus the bonus of all this economic activity on chain for Ethereum. Main chain Ethereum is where all this stuff's happening, by the way. Main chain ETH, dirty, disgusting fees, right?
Yeah,
I mean, more demand.
See, like, that's the worst part about ETH, the fees.
ETH, more ETH locked in the staking contract, more ETH leaving exchanges, all bullish catalysts. And yeah, the fees are going to get even more disgusting. If you've seen disgusting Ethereum fees yet, you ain't seen nothing. It's going to get puke worthy out here. But everyone on Ethereum, they're already rich. They probably don't really care that much if they're making giant returns from all this stuff they're doing. The restaking boom is one of the biggest economic events on Ethereum in years. I'm not just not fading this narrative. I'm actually participating in this one on the way up with all those restaking protocols that I just mentioned. EtherFi being the biggest one right now. The third insane catalyst that will drive Ethereum to $15,000 this cycle is the ETF, which, by the way, largely expected to get denied in May. So then WTF am I talking about? Why is this a bullish catalyst, Lark? Well, you need to understand the big picture here. What's actually going on? This is Black freaking Rock trying to get an Ethereum ETF. And while the May 23rd date has been widely reported to be denied, expected to be denied, it's only VanEck's application. BlackRock's final deadline is August 7th. BlackRock has got over 500 ETFs in its history and has only ever had one denied. Just one. So the chances that we get an ETH ETF in August, probably pretty decent. Will Gary Gensler dare to deny BlackRock? Does he ever want to have a job again in Washington when his revolving door at the SEC ends? No, probably not. Anyway, we shall see. And if it fails, of course, even BlackRock gets denied on August 7th, then everyone's going to sue them. JP Morgan has stated that they believe an ETH ETF will come eventually and that there will be a legal battle that the SEC will lose. This is JP Morgan saying this. The SEC will lose that battle because there's already so much case precedent, i.e. from the Ripple case and the Grayscale's case. So the SEC has no legs to stand on, and the SEC will once again lose terribly in court, be forced to approve an ETF for Ethereum. The ETF for
Yusuf, Ethereum is not a security.
Ethereum is not a matter of if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen, which makes the SEC bullshit even dumber. What a waste of everyone's time and energy, because they must know they're going to be forced to approve it.
So Gary couldn't even answer if Ethereum was a security when the head of the commission was asking him point blank, is it a security or is it not a security? He could not answer, which means it is not. He couldn't figure it out.
Why fight at all? Why screw everybody over? Anyway, when it comes, it will be a wildly important event for Ethereum. It'll be a major liquidity injection that Ethereum has never seen before, on par with like the Bitcoin ETFs. Keep in mind that Ethereum has a third the market cap of Bitcoin. Can it get 1/3 the amount of inflows? Well, if it did, then we'd see $4.3 billion flowing into Ethereum in just the first 100 days, which would equal to 1.5 million Ethereum at the current prices. That is some huge demand, considering that on-exchange balances for Ethereum keep falling. The burn has Ethereum issuance in the negative right now. All
right, there's two things about Ethereum that I don't trust, okay? One, I'm pretty positive Vitalik Buterin has the keys to the burn addresses, if I'm not, or the burn wallet, if I'm not mistaken. And then number two, Ethereum is infinity, right? They could just print money like the government, right? They could just put out more coins whenever they want. It has no cap, all right? But that doesn't mean they're going to do so. I don't know what would entice them to do that, but it's those are my two big fears. Those right there.
Demand is rising all the time, especially from base, and about 1/3 of the total amount of all Ethereum is currently staked in the staking contract, which has a 2-year plus exit queue to get all the ETH out of it.
But that doesn't negate the fact that they are a large ecosystem and they have a lot on it, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's a top 2 crypto.
Now, I'm not a math doctor, guys, okay? You may have noticed, not a math doctor. But those factors right there, I'm pretty sure equal MOON. That spells moon. It's pretty damn bullish.
Leo Lustig said Vitalik sends the burned ETH back to his home planet.
And it could be enough to drive Ethereum up to that $15,000 price target this cycle. Now, does that mean Ethereum is the best risk reward asset in crypto right now? No, obviously not. For slightly more risk, coins like Avalanche could maybe reach $500 this cycle, which is a 10x compared to the 3.5x potential for Ethereum. Perspective, right? But if your ETH bags are already packed, then you are probably going to have some exciting price action to look forward to as the Ethereum catalysts continue to heat up the price of Ethereum over the coming months. And to be clear, you can still buy Ethereum. It's still going to give that 3.5x if we get to the 15K price target. And while you're waiting for that to happen, you can restake your ETH and earn all kinds of airdrops and stuff. So it's not to say buying Ethereum is a terrible idea or something like that. It's just that the reality is it's such a big coin already, and there's lots more juicy opportunities otherwhere in the crypto space where you could have much bigger returns, but for higher risk.
Exactly. He's not wrong. He's definitely not wrong. Let's see real quick. Yusuf said, look at Bitcoin University spits facts. Yeah, but Bitcoin University, listen to the name. He's a Bitcoin maxi. If you don't know, maxis think every other coin besides Bitcoin is a shitcoin. Hands down. They don't like any other coin. They think it's completely useless. So that fact alone, I would never watch that channel. Nothing against them, but that's how it is. That's the truth. All right, last video. This one's actually a long one. We're going to try to, I don't know if I'm going to listen to the whole thing, but Raul Paul, crypto forecast after the Bitcoin halving 2024. I haven't listened to this, but he says the next Solana. I don't know what that means. Let's get into it over here. Altcoin Daily. Hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you.
Crypto is growing at twice the speed of the internet in terms of adoption.
Today I interview global macro investor Raul Pal.
So it's the fastest adoption of any technology and any asset class the world has ever seen.
About his forecast for the crypto market in 2024.
Well, crypto gets to 1 billion people by the end of next year, 1 billion active wallets, and it gets to 4 billion by 2030.
We discuss the Bitcoin halving, the day of the Bitcoin halving. What should they expect? His Bitcoin price prediction by end of year. For this cycle, how high, range-wise, do you see Bitcoin going? What altcoin is the next Solana?
The biggest game in town, however, is what is the Solana of this cycle?
And watch the whole...
That's a good question, actually. I hope he comes up with something good, not some bullshit.
Interview, because Raul Pal ranks the crypto market.
No, I'm going to put Doge in A.
Oh, wow.
Really? Click the like button and let's start, Raul, with where is crypto today?
You know, I've always been talking about this. I think last time I spoke to you, I talked about this. There's a lovely transition that makes it easy for people to understand. Is like,
I'm going to bump this to 1.25. If it's too fast, you guys let me know.
Crypto is the best performing asset in the world for 3 years, and then it's the worst for 1 year. That first year is known as crypto spring. Sometimes it can be a bit choppy. It could be like spring. Some days it rains, some days it's sunny, but every day it gets a bit warmer. We had a pretty decent crypto spring. I mean, Bitcoin was up 150%. Then we started, and we're in the process of transitioning to crypto summer. And crypto summer is when you start hitting all-time highs and things start going bananas. And we're very close to that now. You know, we've got to the all-time high in Bitcoin, and we've been messing around. So whether by the time this video comes out or not, it's broken out or it hasn't, we don't know. It doesn't really matter. You know, it's pretty standard to have a chop around for a bit. And then fireworks happen. And really the fireworks truly happen when altcoin season comes.
Real quick, someone in the chat said gross Dogecoin, right? I agree. It's a meme coin. Doesn't really have utility. It could have utility if Dogecoin is put into Twitter or X, right, by Mr. Elon Musk, right? Yeah, I don't know. He wants to make it an everything app, right, where you can have payments and all this shit. And if he implements Dogecoin, then guess what? It's got a use case. But besides the point, even being just a meme coin, dumb money is going to buy it. So guess what? You can make money. That's the whole name of the game in crypto. Unfortunately, you make money from stupid people. It's kind of how it goes. Someone, you know, buys it high and whatever, you sell it, is what it is.
And that comes in crypto summer. And we're starting to see the first signs of that. It's been meme coin season for a while now. And I think it'll drag, you know, the big memes like Doge up. And before you know it, even everybody, I find it amusing, everybody is writing off Ethereum right now. And exactly the same happened in 2020. In 2020, Ethereum was underperforming Bitcoin in spring, as it always does. then it started basing, and then by the end of the year, it just never stopped outperforming. And I think we're in a similar kind of pattern, and that's typical of altcoin season.
Let's talk about ETH. Let's talk about Solana. But this video is definitely coming out before the Bitcoin halving. So especially for new people just entered the space in the last 6 months, the day of the Bitcoin halving, what should they expect?
Nothing. That's a coin flip between it going up and it going down. But what we do know is the supply of Bitcoin from the miners will halve. So over time, there's less new supply, and therefore the supply has to be met by existing participants selling. Now, considering about 60 to 80% of all Bitcoin holders don't sell, they just hold, there's actually quite limited supply around. So when you add in a kind of macro bull market, it tends to then tilt the supply-demand imbalance wildly in favor of demand. Not enough supply, too much demand. Add the ETF in, and that adds more FOMO. It's easier for people to get in. And before you know it, you start building this banana zone cycle. So the halving itself is a non-event. It's the signal that you're about to come into crypto summer, which happens to coincide with the presidential election years every time. And it also corresponds with what I call the everything code cycle, which is the debt refinancing cycle, which is the macro cycle. They're all the same thing. So you get this kind of powerful dynamic of politicians giving out free candy because they're going into an election, stimulus. You tend to have a liquidity cycle because of the business cycle, because they have to refinance the debts of the governments. And you tend to have the Bitcoin halving, which is a reduction in supply. And that's why these periods get really quite exciting.
If/when the Federal Reserve cuts rates for the first time in years later this year, what will that mean for crypto?
I think it's been anticipated by the markets. But it just, at top level, if you think of most people who've got credit card debts or mortgages or interest payments on cars, it just makes everybody's life a little bit easier. And if you've got a little bit more discretionary spending, you might be able to put it into the market. And so at the margin, it'll help. I mean, obviously, it would help a lot if rates went down to 2%. Are they going to get there or not? Certainly not this year. Maybe next year. Depends what happens to inflation, depends what happens on a number of different levels. But really, it's not interest rates that actually drive the world. It's liquidity. Liquidity is the money that the central banks put into the system, often in conjunction with the government, to try and generate economic growth or drive markets. And we bottomed in liquidity, I think, again, last time we spoke, back in November 2022. That was the bottom of the liquidity cycle. It happened to be the bottom of the crypto cycle and bottom of technology, because those are the forward-looking asset classes. And going forward, my work suggests that liquidity should continue to ease all the way into 2025. So therefore, if we've got rising liquidity against this backdrop, it should be positive.
And by the way, to your credit, the last time I had you on, or back in end of 2022, I asked you, are you worried about a recession coming? And you said the recession's now. You know, people are the most depressed now. It'll only get better. And you turned out to be right, to your credit. So I want to go forward thinking, maybe in a longer term time span. Are you in the Michael Saylor camp that Bitcoin will most likely hit $1 million?
Yeah, so how I back this out is two different ways. One, I just look at the log chart of Bitcoin. That trend, you can extrapolate it, and somewhere around 2030, it'll be $1 million. That sounds as ridiculous today as it did when I first bought it at $200 and I put a price projection of $100,000. I said it's actually going to $1 million, but I'm going to discount myself for being an idiot by 90%. So it cost $200. It could go to zero at that time, certainly, because that was 2013. But my price projection's 100,000, and people said this is ridiculous. I said it's the best macro trade of all time. So the $1 million doesn't seem that preposterous. The other way I back it out is when I look at the adoption of cryptocurrency. So you use as a proxy the number of active wallets. Now, we all know that's not a perfect proxy because people have multiple wallets, but you compare that to IP addresses for the internet, start them at both 5 million. Now, people have multiple IP addresses as well. So it's very similar. It's just directionally gives you an idea. Crypto is growing at twice the speed of the internet in terms of adoption. So it's the fastest adoption of any technology and any asset class the world has ever seen. So if we just assume that growth slows, as it did with the internet, because once you get bigger and bigger numbers, it's hard to grow at such a rate. So it goes from, let's say, 175% a year where it's been trending and goes to 43% a year, which is what the internet did from year 8 onwards. Well, crypto gets to 1 billion people by the end of next year, 1 billion active wallets, and it gets to 4 billion by 2030. Well,
that's crazy. 1 billion people, and then 4 billion by 2030. That's nuts. There's only 8 billion people on the planet.
4 billion, the price will certainly be $1 million. So it kind of backs out from the adoption of the technology and of the log chart, because the log chart basically is the adoption of the technology.
For this cycle, this is a question just for fun. How high, range-wise, do you see Bitcoin going?
It's difficult to know what kind of cycle we're going to be dealing with. There's a school of thought that says it's a left translated cycle, which means it goes up fast early and then peaks early. Most would finish in 2025 in December. That's normally how these crypto cycles have finished. That third year would be a December, November kind of period. So could it come earlier and peter out this year? There's definitely a probability of that. What price would that be? I would say 200,000, something like that. And that would be, okay, that's gone very far, very fast. The most likely outcome is a standard bull market. Now, the last one we had, 2020, 2021, was actually a stunted cycle because really the final leg never happened. We had a huge final leg in 2017 and an even more enormous one in 2013. But last time around, we didn't get one, which caught everybody off surprise, including myself. So somewhere that would be, you know, Bitcoin gets to, let's say, 200 to 250,000, peaks somewhere between the summer and the end of the year. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable.
No, real quick, Panera Cards made a good point. He said, yeah, they count wallets, though, and I have like 30 myself. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
The other probability is that we have a full bubble cycle because now there's more access to it by the ETFs.
I mean, I think when they count like Bitcoin wallets, addresses, right? I mean, yeah, you have a bunch of, like, you could have multiple addresses, but I'm assuming it's Bitcoin with, like, Bitcoin addresses with Bitcoin in it. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you might have multiple wallets, like multiple use case wallets, right? Like a Tangem or an LEPAL, but you might only have Bitcoin on one of them and other shit on a different one. Do you know what I mean? So we are a little bit different people. We mine, so it's kind of a different story, but like the average everyday Joe, it's typically one per person.
More acceptance.
Maybe
There's
two.
More regulatory acceptance. It captures more mind share. There's like 110 million Coinbase wallets and only about 10 million are active right now. So that number can go up dramatically. So we can see a huge participation and a final kind of belief that this is it. That could happen. And in which case, then you could see an extension to maybe 400,000 plus in this cycle. But
bro, I always say Panera Cards. I don't know. It's Piranha. I'm sorry. I always say your name wrong. I apologize. Just tell me I'm an idiot in the chat. That's fine.
I would give the
My bad.
short cycle and the bubble cycle roughly the same probabilities and probably more erring towards the bubble cycle, but let's call them both 20% probability and 60% for something normal.
I do it every time.
And in terms of when altcoin season starts, let
Why?
me pitch this to you. Or is it when, you know, there's a wealth effect in crypto and Bitcoin? Bitcoin's hitting all-time highs. People feel wealthier. It spreads into altcoins. Is that when it starts?
Yes, and it typically starts when one of the other big layer ones starts hitting all-time highs as well. So now everybody's celebrating in the party and everything starts getting recycled down the risk curve. Because now you're going, well, Bitcoin's at 70,000 or 80,000 and maybe it only gets to 150. So only going to make 100%. I mean, in normal markets, these are crazy numbers, but in crypto, it's like only 100%. It's not worth it. So you start looking for where am I going to make 5 times or 10 times or 20 times? And that's when people go out the risk curve and it starts getting crazy and stupid stuff happens. And people make and lose fortunes. I try and navigate it by, you know, I use this expression, don't fuck this up. And really, it's because this altcoin season really has a tendency for everybody to screw up because they suddenly get the FOMO. They can't see straight. They want to use leverage. They want to make as much money as possible. They start going really far out the risk curve with all of their portfolio.
Real quick, if you guys are new into like crypto, please, for the love of God, stay away from leverage. Unless you do like a 3 to 5, maybe, if you want to gamble with some money. I would recommend just to stay away from it because you're probably going to get wrecked. Please don't. No, it's at 1.25 DJ, and it's yeah, he talks really fast. I can slow it down if it's too fast for you guys. Let me know.
Start custodying in stupid exchanges they should never do, or putting money into DeFi things that they should never be involved in. And before you know it, all goes wrong. So my advice is always, look, put 90% of your assets in these core crypto. Call it free for now. The 3 biggest ones with proven network effects are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. And think of that as a risk curve. Bitcoin the least risky, Solana more risky. It's earlier in its adoption. It should outperform, all things being equal. And then you can have 10%
He's not
where you
wrong.
can do all the stupid shit.
You hear him? You hear him? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And that's, he's saying Solana's probably more gains, but it's a little bit more risky than the other two. And he's 1000% right.
And try and make your 100x. That will end up
10% into shitcoins that he just said, basically other stuff that are way more risky, like, you know, all the altcoins basically.
being your wallet of shame.
I don't think
You'll
he's
have
wrong
a bunch
at
of
all.
stuff that goes to zero in there that you never get rid of. But you can't do yourself damage if it's only 10%. And if you get it right, great. You're going to add, you know, another 100% onto your portfolio, but you
Facts.
can't mess it up by doing it. So So enjoy
He's not wrong.
altcoin season. Realize that it should move ETH and Solana more. So you should get some really good returns out of that. But don't overextend yourself when you go too far out the risk curve.
What is your investors' thesis for ETH this year? Given this is an institutional cycle, people like Bitcoin now, but ETH.
So if Bitcoin is the gateway drug, the RAAs, everybody else, you can kind of get your dad across the line with Bitcoin. And you can just use digital gold or, store of value or something that's pretty straightforward. ETH really is the settlement layer for all of the layer twos. But
Yusuf, listen to what he has to say here.
Also, I think a lot of the financial services industry will build on top of it because it's deemed to be the safe bet. It's like using Salesforce for your CRM and other stuff. It's like using AWS, right? It's the thing you don't get fired for. Now, I think Solana will grab part of that market because of FireDancer, which is much faster. We can talk about that later. But generally speaking, ETH is the easy choice. It's like you work for a large corporation, they'll give you Microsoft Office.
There you go.
ETH is Microsoft Office.
Interesting.
That was a great point, actually. I haven't heard this yet. That was a great explanation.
Interesting. Okay. But you think ETH's the safer play, but Solana is like the easier play. So if you could, like Solana and ETH for this cycle, what are your thoughts?
Well, the proof is in the pudding. I'm 90% Solana. That's been my big bet for this cycle. So last cycle, my bet was switching Bitcoin into ETH.
And that wasn't to call anybody out. Just please know that. I want you guys to be educated in all aspects and not just listen to certain people that will steer you kind of in a shitty path. But like, again, everybody has their own opinion. Just listen to everything and come to your own conclusion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
A little bit later in the cycle, after the bottoming of that Bitcoin ETH cross, and that really paid off because it massively outperformed. And this cycle, I switched my ETH into Solana last year, about August, and that really, really paid off. And I think
I wish I honestly, I wish I did that. Took some ETH or whatever into Solana, because Solana, man, it's had a crazy climb, and I still think it's got a lot more to go.
It continues.
And so FireDancer.
But the biggest game in town, however, is what is the Solana of this cycle? If you remember, Solana last cycle was huge. So was Avalanche, so was Polygon. There was a few of them that really got the narrative, and it really Solana won out that as the next big thing. The others are still fine. They've got activity and stuff going on, but not the scale of Solana. The question is what is that one of this cycle? Because you can make some real money in that bet. But this is where people start going too far out the risk curve. You really need to see what is getting some real adoption and a real narrative and real developers working around it and stuff like that. That remains to be seen, but that game is still to be played.
So I actually was going to ask you this. Besides the ETH ecosystem, besides the Solana ecosystem, what is another ecosystem on your radar? And for example, go on, sorry.
There's two.
Please.
One, as a caveat, I set on the foundation for Sui, which is an incredible project. That and Aptos are both Move based.
I've been hearing a lot about Sui, to be honest. I need to do some more research. Is anybody into that one?
Sui kind of rewrote the whole thing from scratch and have built other stuff around it. Those, I think, you're starting to see other people, Chris Beniski, Melton Demiras, talking about EVM, SVM, MVM. And I think that's probably right. So those are on my radar screen. Obviously, I'm on the foundation, so I'm somewhat biased, but I see behind the curtain the amount of kind of activity and who they talk to and how it talks. The other one is the Cosmos ecosystem. So Celestia would be the obvious one there. There's a few others within that ecosystem. And that is those are the two ecosystems that look like, okay, what is the next big layer one ecosystem? It's one of those two, I think, unless something else randomly comes out of nowhere.
We just did a dedicated video for the Sui and Sui in general and the Sui ecosystem. So a lot of things to like. They have a killer team, so I definitely understand.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are super high quality people. I mean, I'm blown away by them. So we'll see.
The Bitcoin ecosystem. You're an NFT guy. It doesn't have to be for NFTs, but in general, is that a viable ecosystem you're looking at?
I don't use my judgment because what do I know? I just look at the people being involved in it. I'm seeing more venture capital. I'm seeing the Bitcoin Maximus getting kind of pushed into less relevance by people who want to build the more open, interesting, useful Bitcoin ecosystem. We're seeing incredible activity in ordinals. There is going to be some other layer twos. I think there'll be Bitcoin meme coins, which will really piss off the maxis. But I think Bitcoin really needed this because it needed other types of activity. So I think it's good. I think it's very positive. And, you know, the people I respect and trust whether it's hedge funds I invest in or whether it's other people in the space and VCs, they're all saying, listen, you got to focus here. I'm not really focused on it, but I think it's a very valid thesis.
And it's early, and it is early.
Yeah.
For Solana, you mentioned Fire Dancer. For the folks at home, could you explain what that is?
I'm waiting for my kid to just hit the power button on my computer. So if I mute for a little bit, that's why, but I'm still listening, guys. If you have any questions, just add me in the chat, obviously.
So Fire Dancer is basically a validator of Solana. It's in testnet right now. It's basically another way of accessing the Solana network. It was built by Jump Trading, which is a high-frequency trading firm that's deep into crypto. And they built it to be fast enough for high-frequency trading. High-frequency trading is basically limited. So the game in high-frequency trading is to be the fastest with seeing the order flow and putting your orders in. That uses massive fiber optic cables of the shortest possible length, because what they're using is the speed of light. So they say, well, it's impossible to do that in Ethereum or Solana or anything. So you need something that operates at a quantum change, a step change in speed. So they built a new version of Solana, which will run, which you can choose as your validator. If Solana's theoretical transactions per second is 65,000, this is theoretically 1 million. So it's like it's an entire game change. So what does that enable? Why am I interested in it? Because things like some of the two initiatives from Solana, one was compressed NFTs, allow you to create 1 million NFTs for $100. We're seeing that on layer 2s as well, like base, but we're not at layer 1 level. Okay, Solana's a whole different game. So that makes it very cheap. So you can use NFTs for other things, not high-end art or stuff. You can use it for tickets or whatever, high-frequency stuff.
That's what we need. That's what we need. NFTs to have like a real use case, not just art, like, you know, kind of going around in his background. He does. It's like a digital frame where he's got like all his artwork that just pops up in like a rotation, basically. It's kind of cool.
If you've got a chain that operates at the speed of financial markets, well, now you can tokenize exchanges. You can put exchanges on the blockchain like NASDAQ. Okay, that gets really interesting. Now, this tech stack's not ready. It won't be this cycle, but we'll see people using this new speed and low latency for interesting stuff, and it'll build a narrative. Next cycle, we'll see the launch of stuff on it. So that's how I think about this. This is like, we've just unleashed two superpowers, and we will start to see people experimenting with it and the narrative building. Next cycle, we'll actually see projects coming out on it. But it is a game changer for the entire crypto space, and most people aren't aware of it yet.
I saw this thing on Twitter a week or two ago.Maybe you did that. Maybe it was FUD. I don't know, but like 70% of all transactions on Solana fail or something like that. Have you seen that? And does this solve it?
So no, it doesn't solve that. Right now, the network's overwhelmed because of massive use, because of meme coins and other stuff. And we've seen this in ETH in the past as well, where it just gets overwhelmed with activity. So they're putting through fixes now to increase the bandwidth, essentially, the ability to deal with all of the transactions that need to happen. I think the TPS is basically the speed and number of transactions without it getting clogged, but you need compute power behind it as well. So yes, we've seen Solana transactions failing right now only because of the sheer demands of the network. Much like you can overrun a broadband network or a mobile phone network. It's all the same thing. And so what you need is more compute. So you need more compute, a few fixes, make things a bit faster. So it's not broken per se, it's just being tested to its limits, which I actually think is very bullish, particularly if they put a decent patch through and before you know it, it opens up the network again.
And to be fair,
I agree. I think, things need to be, they're basically trial by fire at this point with Solana, right? So they're gonna fix it as time goes on. It's kind of like, you play a Nintendo game, you gotta pop it out once in a while, blow some air in it, and stick it back in. That meme was the best.
Solana's biggest haters, the Cardano community, the AVAX community, whatever, wish they had a problem like this. But then they can easily snipe at you when all the energy is on the Solana blockchain.
Yeah, well, remember we had the same in ETH back in 2021, right? The NFT craze that happened on ETH, it was massive, and it just plus DeFi plus everything else suddenly overwhelmed ETH. The gas fees went up, the network was clogged, you couldn't get transactions through. That's actually a good sign. It shows you got product market fit.
Your thesis for Bitcoin discussed earlier in this conversation was at least a $200,000 Bitcoin top of cycle. For Solana, as that is your biggest bet in crypto today, where's that put Solana?
Look, we don't really know, but I would assume that if Solana's at 200-ish today, right, for it to go up 100% would be, in crypto summer, would be highly unusual. At least 300% would be pretty standard. That'll be ETH all-time highs versus the previous all-time highs of that high. So that will put it 600. So let's mark that as like, that's a reasonable spot. You know, if I use a few charts and a bit of, you know, log charts, I get somewhere between 800 and 1200. In a complete bubble cycle, I think it can go above 2000. In a short stunted cycle, 750, something like that. But it's still all to play for, is the point.
Raul, you gave some of the best advice earlier this year on your channel. Don't F this up, meaning don't lose your money by speculating in the crap. Stick to the quality, stick to your plan. I have followed that advice thus far. I'm not effing it up. What's another piece of advice you have for me?
Well, within that, there's a few things. One is don't use leverage.
Because exactly what I just said. Don't use leverage, please.
The entire game in this adoption curve of crypto, where the whole market cap is going from, let's say, $2.7 trillion today to maybe 10 or 12 trillion dollars at the end of this cycle to maybe 100 trillion by 2035 or something, right? The entire game is to be in the game. Now, when you use leverage, if the market pulls back, you lose your coins. You're out of the game. Don't be out of the game. Also, don't get distracted from the game. The game is in the mass adoption of the big stuff. The small stuff, do that for fun. Another thing, another way to lose money is doing stuff you shouldn't really be doing, which is suddenly you see high yield somewhere and you're like, oh, I want to get that. Right? These markets go up 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 500% plus. You don't need to earn 10% yield or 15% yield. You don't, because a yield comes with risk.
It's something on trading. Mr. Yusuf asked, what is leverage? So leverage is like, if you guys have ever heard of Bybit, it's a exchange, no affiliation. I don't recommend you guys use it. You can't use it if you're in the US anyways. The exchange will have a feature where you can 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, up to 100 times your bet with, you know, whatever money you have. But the higher leverage you have, the lower span you have of actually making money. So like if it goes the wrong way, you could get liquidated and they wipe out your entire account. So like it's not borrowing, it's leveraging. It's hard to it's really hard to explain. You'd have to watch like a trader that would explain it. Just Google it. I'm sure you can find a YouTube video on somebody explaining leverage. It's super risky and not worth it. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't.
The only risk-free yield is staking yields when you stake it yourself, but you still have the price risk of Ethereum falling or Solana falling or whatever. But the smart contract risk is almost zero. As soon as you start going out of that world, you're now going out the risk curve. It's like lending to the government versus lending to your friend. You should get higher yields from it because it's riskier, because the chances are they won't pay you back.
Oh, there you go. He's talking about it right here.
So that's another thing I think people need to be cautious of. And the other way people get caught out is leaving balances on stuff like MetaMask, thinking it's my wallet, it's fine. And before you know it, you've clicked on a stupid link, your wallet's been drained. For goodness sake, keep most of it on a Ledger or Trezor, or at worst in Coinbase or one of the big exchanges. But don't just leave it in places that are vulnerable, because
I mean, he's not wrong in a sense. Like, it's safer to leave it like I'm not even gonna say that. It's not safe to leave it on an exchange at all, because if something happens to your account, it's gone. They will not cover your crypto. If you hold US dollars on Coinbase, that is FDIC insured or whatever, but your crypto is not. So if you're holding USDC there instead of US dollars, think about it.
Your job is not to lose your tokens. That's the one rule of this, is don't.
Coinbase is better than MetaMask for sure.
Part with your tokens. So you just be really, really careful.
AI and crypto. I remember I had you on back in 2022, and you said everybody's trying to fit together this narrative, and the only thing crypto does solve is maybe not repeat the same mistakes that we made in Web 2, where all the power flows to these big central players. Since then, because of NVIDIA and Web 2 news, AI crypto, the sector has popped off. What are your thoughts?
I think it's narrative chasing, but there is stuff going on. You know, Render, okay, because you're using decentralized compute. There's, you know, Tau. There's a bunch of these yet to be proven, yet don't have network effects at scale. So it's speculative, which is why these things move a lot, and that's fun.
The one who was said you shouldn't have all your crypto in one place anyways. That is a fact. You should not. I have like 3 different places, maybe 4, that I keep crypto in. That's just, you should have multiple wallets, right? You should have a wallet where you're going to sell things out of. You can keep some stuff on the exchange. Don't keep it all on the exchange. Like if you have a lot of stuff on Coinbase, you know, there's nothing against having stuff on Coinbase, but you need to know that if something happens to that site, you can't get your shit off there. You can't sell it. You can't do anything with it. If you have it in your wallet, there is multiple ways you could send it to different places to get it out of whatever crypto into USDT, some sort of stable coin where you're not going to be screwed later. You know what I mean?
Fine. I think that narrative holds. We'll see whether we actually get product market fit, but we won't know till the end of this cycle and maybe into next cycle. The other one that took off, I spent a lot of time talking about digital ID, because in a world, particularly in an election year, you don't know what the hell is real and what is fake, right? And the fakes are going to get better and better and better.
Facts.
And I completely screwed up that obvious bet, which was people have been looking for the answers to this, and the answer in front of our eyes was WorldCoin, which everybody hated, which was always a good sign. And I was here in Cayman, and I hosted a panel because their foundation's based here. And I asked them the cynical questions. I'm like, why the hell did you launch with the orb? You know, what were you trying to do? And they're like, well, we like the technology. And people think the narrative's wrong. It's like, oh, they're scanning my retina and they're storing the data, which is none of that's right. It's just proving you're a human. And it looks at your iris to prove that you're living as a human, so it can prove it. But I said, like, what is the reason for this token? You know, because you've got this kind of, we're giving you world coins to join the network, blah, blah, blah. They've got the beautiful wallet passport. I'm like, what's the reason? Sam Altman realized in 2020 he was going to screw up everything with AI, and nobody knew who was real and who's not. So he thought, we need WorldCoin. I'm like, if you just led with that narrative, the price would have been 10 times higher. And then stupidly, I completely mid-curved it, and I talked myself out of it when it's like Sam Altman think good is clearly a good enough bet. And it went up 10x and I missed it.
Real quick, Crypto Kurt said you can have access to a wallet across multiple platforms by importing keys to a wallet on different wallets. You know what? I was thinking about that earlier because I really don't want to plug in my ledger. And I know you can actually take the ledger seed phrase and put it on a SafePal. But I don't think that's a safe thing to do. Okay, if you're going to take the same seed phrase and put it on multiple wallets and use all these wallets, just use one. There's no reason to have multiple if you're going to exploit the seed phrase on every one of these wallets. It's just more vulnerabilities, at least in my opinion.
Raul, in our final 5 minutes, I want to play a game. Feel free to say no. We can always cut this part out, but let me just show you. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if you've seen these ranking systems for crypto. I pulled the top, you know, they're all on the first page. If you would, I'd love to rank the top 25 cryptos.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, I don't know the answer to most of this.
These are just your opinion.
Oh, Jesus.
These are your opinion.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you know, a lot of stuff I just don't even bother looking at. But go on, let's try it.
Okay. And just, you know, S tier, this is like the A+, and then it's all obvious from here. But maybe start with Bitcoin. Where would you put Bitcoin?
Yeah, so that's S tier. And what are we ranking it via? Meaning?
I would rank it by overall, will it be here in 10 years, let's say, and
okay, great.
Is it quality at the moment, thinking long term?
Okay, great. That's pretty straightforward. So I put ETH and Sol in the S tier.
Okay. Sol.
I agree.
Oh my God, did I not put ETH? Wait, let me add ETH real quick.
Wait a minute. There's a site here? What? They have a site? This is all made for you? What? That's dope.
I don't think you can see this, but let's see.
We're going to have to play games with this later. That's sick. DJ played a sick game with this. That's cool. I didn't know it was a site. I thought DJ made it.
And these are obvious, but as we go on, you know, I'll just give a sentence as to why. But how about Chainlink?
That's cool as hell.
No, I'm going to put Doge in A.
Really?
It has outperformed Bitcoin.
I agree.
It has gone through new highs every cycle. It is a cockroach. You cannot kill it.
It is.
And it captures...
That is the perfect example. It is a cockroach. Yes. That is a fact. It is literally a fact. It's insane. A top 10 crypto or top 20 anyway. That's fucking awesome. That is great.
Public attention.
That just made my day.
It's an A. It's
a
categorically
cockroach.
an A. It has no use case. Maybe Elon will use it, and yet it's done 40,000% returns. So I'm sticking it there.
True. I get it.
Okay, let's put XRP. I would put that at a B, because there is use case. They have a strong business development team. It has been around a long time. It hasn't got full traction. Doesn't look like it's going away. Doubt it's going to be the best performer either, but
I feel like B is going to be one of those coins that's like this whole row is like you're not going to see a lot of gains, but they're just going to be stagnant. So I wonder what else is going to put in here.
Probably going to be around and have.
I mean, you got to go up a little, but
And they have been through the SEC lawsuit, so at least they're cleared compared to the others.
That's right. It's just missing the larger adoption element, but they may solve it. Okay.
All said he owns no Dogecoin. Really interesting.
To give me what some of these are. Okay,
Cardano.
let's take Whiff.
Low right
let's take
now.
Whiff. That's an easy one. I'm going to give that C because I think it's going to be the meme coin of this cycle, and it will have persistence into the next cycle, like Shiba Inu will and Floki will from previous cycles. I put ApeCoin sadly in D because I still own it, but I'm not sure. I mean, I like the Yuga team. Let's see if they do anything. Okay. What are some of these other ones?
So Cardano, Solana, ETH competitor. You know Cardano.
Yeah, Cardano's a meme coin in my mind because it's just not. It's networks are valued by
Cardano. I would probably put in a either A or B. To be honest, it's going to go up, but it's not going to be like crazy explosive, right?
Number of people using it and the overall activity. It is like Doge. There's a huge network of retail, but really it hasn't got product market fit. I doubt it's going away either, regardless of what the market thinks. So I'll put it next to XRP.
And then Chainlink, working with all the L1s.
I already put it in
B.
I
think Chainlink, look, it can be replaced by other technologies, other ways of interoperability. So I'll put it at B as well. I think it's likely to be around. Sorry, B, yeah.
B. And then Cosmos.
It's still, I mean, it's been around for a while, but it's early and it still hasn't proven itself with adoption or through cycles. So I put it at a B again. It's got a reasonable probability. Don't know if it becomes the biggest thing or not.
That's Chainlink, right? Sorry, I missed that one. My daughter came down.
The graph indexing information in blockchain, like BigQuery.
I think it's a C. I think it's possible, but yet to scale big enough.
Polygon Matic, the ETH layer 2.
Ooh, I'm interested for this one, actually.
The problem is you can introduce layer 2s all the time, as we've just seen with base. So I'm not sure the persistence of it, but it has some sort of size. I would put it, it's either a B or a C. I'm going to put it as a C just to be nasty. Not that I dislike it or anything else, but
C.
There's a lot of innovation in layer 2s.
I want to know what he does with Polkadot. That's kind of one of the ones I was looking at. That might be a B. Maybe an A.
And by the way, for the folks at home, the comment section, the important thing is the conversation. Like all of us have our own lists, obviously.
I don't want to hatred because I put your favorite bag somewhere lower down the list.
For sure.
You may be right. I may be wrong. You know,
he's not wrong. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion here, right? Maybe we should do this on Saturday Night Live with everybody on the panel. Maybe we'll do that actually this Saturday.
I don't live and die by this. The top three I'll live and die by, and maybe Doge I'll probably live and die by. The rest, doesn't really matter.
That's fair. That's fair. VeChain, their supply chain management originally on the blockchain.
D.
Binance Coin.
I think it's a B. It's a clear same as those others. I mean, it's had reasonable adoption, but the base innovation from Coinbase split some of that out. But I think it's a solid B.
Aave used to be top 20. Now is probably top 70. It's still blue chip DeFi.
I would put that into the B category again.
Polkadot, ETH, Solana competitor. Layer 0, some say.
Yeah, I'll put that into the B. I think it's solid. It's been around a long time. It's a good team. Just needs to get traction.
Interesting.
AVAX. Again, an L1. These guys have subnets. They all have their own thing. L1s.
Yeah.
B or A, maybe.
I put that in a C because it needs to prove itself this cycle. We've seen some gaming activity, but it hasn't really yet proven itself beyond being an interesting fast chain with some flexibility.
4 left. Toncoin. If nothing else, they have the distribution factor of Telegram. I think. I'm not sure.
I don't understand Toncoin. Like, why? I don't get it.
I'm going to give this a C. I think it'll persist because of Telegram. I just don't think it will necessarily scale as much as people hope. But I don't know.
I agree.
Tron,
with that one,
killing
actually.
it right now for stablecoin usage in the Asian markets.
I don't know what else it does.
Yeah, because look, there is this bifurcation of the world between what the Chinese authorities will accept and what the Western authorities will accept. I'll put it.
That doesn't mean you can't mine it. That doesn't mean you can't mine it and sell it for a profit, right? Like, that's smart to mine it and sell it for a profit. But this isn't like mine and sell. This is like, what do you feel about these coins overall?
See, there's quite a lot of risk around this one. I might even put it as
Tron.
In fact, I'll put it as a D.
Really? Wow.
Injective in the Cosmos ecosystem, killing it thus far this cycle.
Don't really know, so C.
And BitTensor Tau, this is just right now the blue chip of AI coins, but
that's right. I would again put it in C because we're too early. So how I've ranked these, just as people know my methodology, is top, full network effects, people building, people owning. Doge, proven itself over 3 cycles. A very large base of retail. Doesn't necessarily need to build because it's meme based.
A lot of
the
stupid
B's
money.
are stuff that are important into the space, but have yet to get the traction of the S's. The C's are, listen, they're probably still around, but really it's too early to say whether they're going to migrate up the scale. And the D's are, you know what, these are unlikely to succeed.
Really? Like see, I don't know much about ApeCoin, but Mr. Jim C in the chat said, I disagree with ApeCoin. Yuga sold a bunch of their game assets yesterday. Very bullish in my opinion. In my humble or honest opinion. Tron, I don't know about that one being in D. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Raul, I really appreciate it. This was,
it's kind of a cool game.
This was epic. I appreciate you playing ball. You know, you're a busy guy. This is obviously, that was for fun, but thank you for doing.
All right, well, shout out to Raul Paul and Mr. Austin over at Altcoin Daily. That was actually a really good video. Kind of not used to that. Used to being sold something, and we weren't sold anything today. It was fantastic. All right, recapping real quick before we get out of here to raid Miss Randy Hipper. She's live in 2 minutes. We have Bitcoin at $62,344 for anybody that's just joining. Ethereum is at $3,026. LTC's down today $81, or it shows green, but it's down to $81. We have Caspa under 12 cents, which are both great buys. We have let's see, ETC $25, 25 and a half. Really good buy. Solana, really good buy, $132. ADA, really good buy, 44 cents. That's just all my opinions. And Dogecoin, I think, is a great buy as well, 14 cents. You guys take that as you will. Don't take financial advice from people on YouTube. I'm just another guy on the internet sitting in my basement. It's pretty much what it comes down to. But please do your own research. Take everything people say with a grain of salt. Make sure you guys watch a bunch of shit and come to your own conclusion at the end of the day. That is the most important thing. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as probably going live tomorrow night for the Bitcoin halving. I will catch you guys later. Peace out. Enjoy your day.
Perfect.